Hi everyone, I apologize for the delay. I was having some technical difficulties starting my GoToWebinar program. Thank you all for joining. Today we are going to go over a very beginner's training session of the ChannelCandy content management system. We have an advanced training session as well, so that is to follow this particular training. It is not today. You can go back to the training schedule and register for that one as well. So today we're going to cover the basics of the content management system. That includes making a post, posting an event, authorizing users, and some other different panels and management rights in the content management system. If anybody has any questions throughout, please raise your hand. Everyone is muted during this particular training session. So if you do have a question, raise your hand. I'm going to try to get to them at the end so we can go back, but so that we save time here, I will be going over them at the end and not during the actual training. So make sure you ask them in line so that I can go back and review them all afterwards. So when you, so we have a couple of people that are joining us today that are brand new to our ChannelCandy family, and then we have a couple others that are just here for a refresher, or maybe you have a new role with the company where you're going to be loading content. Each one of our customers gets a fully branded content management system login screen and their own URL that they go to. So if you don't already have this, be patient, we'll send it to you. And if you are an already existing customer, feel free to reach out to me and I can go ahead and send that to you. So the first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to log in with my particular credentials. So if you just give me one moment here. Okay, so while I let that load, so basically what's going to happen here is you're going to have a set of credentials that you have super admin rights on. And I know that sounds fancy, but basically what that means is that you have the ability to create content within the application. And it's going to happen pretty instantly unless you've scheduled it into the future, which you are able to do. But you're going to have these rights, you're going to come into this area, and this is kind of like your dashboard and your main panel to share content to your end users. What you're going to see as the very first thing that loads on your screen is something that looks very similar to your main wall. If you don't already have your app in your hands, maybe you're not familiar with this, but basically what it is it's a news wall. And the news wall can pull in content that you've posted, so things that you are pushing to those users. And then also we can automatically post from an RSS feed and a Twitter. So if you have a Twitter handle that you'd like to hook up, we can post it here, and we can also hook up to an RSS feed of any kind. So if you have a blog or something that you're posting to regularly, it's nice to actually just feed it in here so that you don't have to worry about remembering to post that information. So here's just your main news wall. It's very similar to what you would see in the application itself, but we basically just present that here for you so that when you actually are loading content in the admin area, you can bump out and look at what you've posted in this space instead of having to go back into the app itself. But what you're going to want access to is underneath this sprocket icon. So if you hover over the middle here, it says settings. It's right in between help and log out. So you're going to click on that middle button here that looks like a sprocket or like a tool. You're going to click on that, and it's going to send you into the actual admin area when this is all of the panels that you'll need to load content. So from here, you'll see on the left-hand corner, if you scroll down, all the different items that you have access to. So here you can make a post, you can publish an event, you can send a push notification, which we'll go over today. You can create tags, which are, what we call filters. So content tags you can create in this area. You can post a resource document or a resource link. So we have a different area in our app that's called the Resource Center. Many of you have renamed it to Documents or Library, or maybe it's just training materials or something like that. But basically what resource documents and links are a way to share PDFs and URLs to your users, and it's all done within the system and published automatically. So it's a really great functionality to have because you never have to wait on us, for version control and things like that. But we'll touch on that during this training session. So I'm just going to start from the very top and move down. And like I said, if at any point you have a question, please just type it into the chat box. And at the end of the training session, I'll go over as many questions as I can, since there is quite a few of you in this training today. Okay, so we are going to skip over some of these panels, which you'll notice, and that's because they are more advanced. And due to time constraints, I'm not going to get into some of the more advanced panels and modules. But if you are interested in learning more about gamification or a pitch tracker, or you want to learn more about reading your analytics, those are all separate training sessions that you can register and sit in on. So feel free to sign up for those. We have 2 beginners training sessions a month, 1 advanced, which would cover any additional modules, and then we have 1 analytics training per month. So just so you know. Okay, so let's start with the basics. There are 2 ways to post an article. One is this little handy dandy shortcut on the top here that says make post. It's green. All new actions are a plus sign with a green button. Or you can actually scroll down to the bottom of the panels list and you're going to see this posts area. So you could go in that way, or you can just use the shortcut. I'm going to show you the actual post panel instead of using the shortcut, because I want to show you what's underneath this area as well. So if I click on post, this is how I'm going to generate new articles in my app. So you're going to see I have a lot of stuff in here, but I still have a number 3. And the reason for that is because a lot of the content that's in this area has been auto-generated for me from our blog. So that's why it's not going to show me how many actual human posts have been made, have been 3. So I have personally posted 3 articles myself into this content management system. Everything else has been auto-generated or published by someone else. So this is where all of your posts are going to live. So if you're ever trying to figure out, maybe you need to change something, or you're trying to figure out where it generated from, you can always come in here and edit it or delete it, or you can create a new one. So if you see down here, we have a lot of different content, and we publish it by title, and then we'll show you the content. So the title of the very first one is Why Web-Based Applications Are a Mistake. Okay, and then we have the content, which you would see on the actual news wall, which is what we were just looking at. So if I actually go back, this particular article that you see is on our news wall. And then this is, the more management archival area. So this is how I would potentially change that if I needed to. But for this demonstration, we're going to create a new article. So up here at the very top where the plus sign is, I'm going to click on Add Article, which is a post, and I'm going to give it a title, and I'm going to publish content. So the title is always going to be bold, and the content, you have a 400 character max. So if you feel like that might not cover it, maybe you have a big blog article that you wanted to post, or there's a news article that one of your partners, published about something you're interested in and you want to actually share it with your users, you can go ahead and copy and paste it here. So I'm just going to type in a sample here. So sample title. And then for my description, I'm just going to kind of type in here. Okay, so we can add a link. So the example I just gave, if I'm pulling a news article from a partner that I want to share, I'm going to give it a title, I'm going to put in my content, and then maybe those 400 characters are not enough. So I'm going to add my URL here, because that way, when your user is flipping through the wall, they can actually click on this link and be sent to the rest of the blog. So if they want to go check out, the 1,200 characters that are sitting there, they can do so. I can also add an image. So this is actually currently needs to be living on your desktop. So if you go out on the web and you save, maybe it's a picture of a product that you have in your product catalog, you could choose an image of that. It could be something very generic. So maybe you just want to go on, a stock photography site and you want to attach an image of maybe some people sitting around a meeting area or something like that. You could choose an image like that. It's really all up to you. I highly recommend attaching graphics to your posts because I think that it makes them a little more interactive and it breaks up very content heavy walls. So when someone's scrolling through, sometimes they can feel a bit overwhelmed if it's just text and copy. It's nice to have some imagery in there. You can schedule a post. So this is really handy if you have a team of people who are posting content. And maybe every Monday and Wednesday I post content, and every Friday the marketing team is going to post some content that is in their marketing world. So I can actually come in here and I can schedule every Monday and Wednesday as my own posts, and then they can come in and schedule every Friday for the next 2 months if they wanted to. So for example, I'm going to select this coming Wednesday, so tomorrow, and I would like this post to go up at 8, we'll say 9 a.m. Eastern time. And I'm going to click done. So if I create this particular post and I schedule it to hit Wednesday, tomorrow at 9 a.m., that's when it's going to populate on my wall, Eastern time. Okay. So if you have some users that are, in a different time zone, they may see a little bit of a different posting time as I will, but just keep that in mind. You can also change the time zone. So if you're in Central Time, or all of your users that need to see this particular post are in Central Time, you can make some adjustments. I can also expire this post, which is also very convenient, because if this is, for example, a promotional incentive or something that I'm posting that expires on the 30th, I want to make sure that everyone knows that. So I'm going to expire this post, same exact thing at 9 a.m. At 9 a.m. on the 30th Eastern time, and I'm going to click done. Okay, now you can leave these blank too. So all that's going to mean is that it's going to publish automatically when you're done and you save, and then it's never going to expire. So like any other app, it's just going to kind of archive itself by date. So as time goes on, it's just going to be further and further down your news feed. So that's how that works. And when something actually expires, what's going to happen is on your news wall in red, it's going to state that this post has expired on, and it's going to say, June 30th at 9 a.m. So that if somebody goes back in and they're trying to act on an incentive or something, it's very clear to them that that is no longer valid or available to them. Now, you might have to do a little bit of cleanup. If those kind of bother you and you don't want to have all those expired promotions or posts on your main wall, you can do that. And that's simply going into the screen that I just showed you and just clearing out those old posts. I'm also going to show you a really great way to introduce new users to your app, which is called a welcome post. So if you have, maybe you're launching and you're going to have, 50 new users come in that particular day, and they're going to create accounts and they're going to confirm and then log in. And once they do that, they have the opportunity to see what is called a welcome post. And that means it's a regular old post. The one thing that is different from, something that you would post typically is that it kind of acts like a sticky note. So when you create a welcome post, it's going to be stuck at the top of your news wall. So it won't get lost. It won't, start to archive if you post new things on top of it. Every time a new user, strictly a new user, comes through your app, this post is going to show. So, your title might be, welcome to our new app. The content might say, thank you so much for downloading. We're really glad that you're joining us, and because you did, you're now going to have access to all of these great resources, such as our deal reg, our card carousel, our resource center that is packed full with training materials and white papers, whatever you want to advertise to that person, you can do so. And just like any other post, you can add a link if you want, so you can link them out to, maybe you have like a PDF on your website that breaks down the app and maybe the two places where you can download it or whatever you want to do. And then you can also attach an image, so you could have a nice image of your app or a screenshot or maybe just your icon, whatever you want to do. But and you can have a welcome post for each group that you set up. So in our app, we segment by group. So you can have a marketing group, a reseller group, distributor group, whatever you wanted to do there. But you can create these different groups, and you can create a welcome post for each one. So as they come in, you can say, welcome reseller or welcome distributor. So that's what a welcome post is. And if you check this particular article off as a welcome post, it's going to create that particular sticky note. Now, a lot of people ask, well, what happens if I come into the app and I'm not a new user? Where is that welcome post? And the welcome post is just going to act like any other post and archive itself down below. So, people will see it, but most of the time it's going to just kind of fall off that first or second page and, kind of just archive itself as maybe the 20th post or something like that. So that's just something to keep in mind. We also have a show on main wall checkbox, and what that's going to do is it's just going to publish it to the wall. So the only time you might not want to show this particular post on the main wall is that maybe you work with a team and something has to be approved before it goes live. You could save all of these up in kind of like a draft form and then go back and switch them over once they were approved. So now we need to select who this goes to and what it is. And that's kind of the way that we, kind of tricks and way to remember how groups and tags work is groups are who, tags are what. So groups are who. Who does this particular post, who does it need to go to? Who does it pertain to? What information do I want to try to get across? And who is going to be interested in this? Now, maybe you want to send it to everybody, or maybe you just want to send it to your distributors. Depending on who this is, that's who you're going to check off. So for this particular post, I want everyone to see it. And in our app, my partners means all. So everyone in the app is a partner, and this covers all of them, and you'll see that all of my groups have turned gray here, and that's because that's my all group. So I want everyone to see this post because it's my welcome post, and I want every new user to see this. And my tags are going to be news. And I'm going to show you how to set these tags up. These are basically just hashtags. So if you use Twitter or even Facebook has them integrated now, these are just preset keywords that you can use, over and over again. And it's just going to help people search on the content in the app. So I'm going to use news, and when I'm done, I'm going to click save. Now I'm going to click save just for the purpose of you being able to see this live. And then I'm going to have to remove it because it's just a sample. So I'm going to click on save. And you're going to see immediately that it's showing up under my post panel. So here is my brand new post. And if I go back to my wall, and I'm going to have to refresh here, let's see. All right, we're going to give that a second. So, you'll see it here, and then if I go back under posts, you're gonna see it here. Now I'm going to go on to another area while that is posting to the wall, and we can go back and check it out in a second. The next thing I'm going to show you how to do is create privileges for people who are in your company. So here is an example of, we have 156, now some of these are tests, but we have 156 people in our company, and some of them are going to post content and some of them are not. And some of them are going to have management, privileges, so they can not only post content, but they can change users' permissions. So I'm just going to hop in here really quick so I can show you how to do that. I'm going to search for myself. So here I am. And this is only going to display people who are within your company organization. So this is only displaying anyone who has a ChannelEyes.com domain. Anyone outside of that, we're going to handle in a little bit of a different way, but this is how you would internally set someone's information. So here's my first name, last name, my email. I haven't filled out my country or primary industry. We have 4 groups in our app, and I'm set as a manager for all because I am a super admin. So a member is someone who has read-only rights. Now they're part of your company, so they have app access, but they're read-only. So if they log into this content management system, they cannot use any of these panels. Okay, they can only see the main wall area that we were just at and looked at. If you're an admin, it means that you can post content and read content. Okay, you cannot change any permissions. So if I was only an admin, I would never be able to see any of this. These particular settings. A super admin is someone who can read, post, and manage. So I, as myself, am able to set permissions, which is where I am right now. So if I wanted to go into, let's say, a coworker's company permissions, and I wanted to make some changes on them, I, as a super admin, am able to do that. Whereas someone else in my company is set as a member, they would not be able to change my permissions or anyone else's. So we have a little bit of a two-part effort here. So I'm set as a super admin, but even though I'm a super admin, I could be set as a reader only on these particular groups. Okay, so you need to make sure as you create groups that you're going in and you're changing these if you need to. So because I'm a super admin, I need to be able to access and post to all of these groups. But maybe you want to make someone on your team only a manager for a particular group. So like I said before, maybe the marketing team, they post every Friday, but you don't want to have them posting to anything other than that group. You could actually make them a reader on everything else, and they would not have posting privileges to anything else other than ChannelCandy, which is this example. Okay, so I'm just going to set me back to manager here and click save. And that's how you make changes to your company's permissions. Okay, so the next thing we're going to talk about is organization authorization. So this is how you approve people, and this has nothing to do, if you have a single sign-on integration, this doesn't pertain to you. This is only for individuals who are going to need to authorize and deauthorize using our database because we are not integrated with some kind of portal or security that you already have in place. Okay, so for this, you're going to need to check this probably a couple of times a week, just like you do your own Facebook or LinkedIn. You have people who are requesting to be friends. You have some basic maintenance that you have to do. Maybe you have, things you need to reply to, whatever it might be. Kind of make this a habit. This is now part of that whole daily plan that you have. So you need to work that in somehow to your schedule. So you're going to come in here, maybe 2 or 3 times a week, and you're going to want to check your organization authorizations. Okay. So we have a lot pending right now. And each group that you set up, you have a an authorization for. So when a new user comes through, it's going to toggle each group and it's going to ask you to authorize them. And that's because, there might be a couple of scenarios where, say for me, I'm coming in as Heidi at ChannelEyes.com. So my company is ChannelEyes, and I'm going to have a pending authorization for every group you have in your app. So for ours, we have ChannelCandy, ChannelCandy Secure, Internal, and My Partners. Now, ChannelCandy in our app is public, meaning that anyone who creates an account is automatically put in that group. You don't have to be authorized for it. It's a public-facing group. We only share content in it that applies to everybody, and we have no secrets. There's a lot of apps that have no public groups whatsoever because they're very secure. They don't want any content shared to anyone unless I have approved them in some way. So that's when this comes into play. So for example here, I have Cisco Systems. Okay, Cisco Systems has created an account and they're sitting in this pending state because I have not yet told them that they're allowed to access ChannelCandy Secure. We don't want them in internal because internal is ChannelEyes.com only, and that's an internal group. So unless you work for our company, we don't want to share anything with you. So I'm going to click on the pending. And I have two options. I have authorize and deauthorize. I'm going to authorize Cisco Systems for ChannelCandy Secure because I know that I don't have a problem sharing information with them. So I'm just going to go through and authorize a couple here. These are all different companies. And if I hover over them, it's going to tell me exactly what they are and what their email stem is. So if you have any questions about particular groups or you want to know where they're coming from, or maybe you have some organizations that have requested access that you've never heard of before, you can hover over them and it will tell you their email stem, or you can reach out to us and we can do some investigating. So I've authorized all of these, and for internal, I'm going to deauthorize because I don't want these people in internal. Okay, and it happens automatically, and if you make a mistake, it's okay because you can toggle it back. So if I decided I wanted them in internal, I could just toggle it back. Okay, so it's saved. There's no other clicks that you have to make on this page, and you're going to need to go through the whole list. You might have quite a few. You can show up to 100 entries. So that is organization authorization. So you're authorizing on a organization level in this screen. Okay, now if I go into user authorizations, that's completely different. That's by user, and the only reason I would ever go in here is because I want someone not authorized. So I want to unauthorize a particular user from my app. And the reason why we created this is because maybe a partner has a employee who has left the company and you want to deauthorize them and kind of boot them out because they no longer work for that company and you don't want them in your app anymore. But the entire organization as a whole is authorized and you want to keep them authorized. You just want to keep that one individual out. So it's as easy as searching for the name and dropping this down and deauthorizing. And once you do that, that person's connection to the app is broken and they are no longer able to log in. So that's just something to keep in mind if you need to do some cleanup or there's somebody that you are not comfortable having in there, you can easily deauthorize them. The next thing we're going to go over is sending a push notification, and this is probably one of the most powerful tools in our app. If you don't know what a push notification is, you may have actually already, received one on your device and didn't even know it. Push notifications are used very heavily by, like a weather app, CNN, any breaking news that someone is trying to get across to you, and even as silly as, you might have a game or two downloaded on your device that reminds you to play, or someone's waiting for your turn or something like that. The difference between a push and a post is that the post is something that you generate within the app and it stays in the app. A push notification is an alert that actually interrupts your users outside of your app. So it's actually connecting to their device specifically. So you do not have to be in the app to get that, which is why it's so powerful. Because, for example, you're going to launch, or maybe you already have, and you had a huge wave of people come in, and they downloaded the app, and they went in, and they, maybe they did some gamification, or they downloaded and sent some documents, and, you had a lot of heavy usage. Some of those people might start to dwindle away, and it's not because they don't love your app and use it. It's because they tend to forget that it's there, unless you make it part of your schedule, like we do with Facebook. There's people who wake up and it's the first thing they check. It just becomes part of their routine and their habit. But if it's not incorporated into that, they might tend to, drift and kind of forget about things because it's all trapped in the app. So unless they open it, they're not going to see it. Or maybe they just have a lot of apps on their phone. So this is a way to kind of separate yourself from the rest. So here, what you can do is you can type a message in this box. You have a 200 character limit, so it's pretty short and sweet. And you just want to really just get your point across. You don't want to write a novel here. You don't want to write different push notifications that kind of are continuously part of the same message you're trying to get across. It's just a little short and sweet kind of poke. So, for example, you would write something like, hey, don't forget to register for our webinar that starts in 15 minutes. Or, hey, come visit us at booth 215. We're on the ground floor at XYZ convention this weekend. We uploaded a new white paper, we started a new campaign, and, we just launched gamification. And if you go and do XYZ, you'll get an automatic 100 points. We're giving away a flat screen or something. So these are just quick little things. Okay, so if you see our last push in our summary here, is we just let everybody know that ChannelEyes ranked in Albany's Biz Review top tech startups in New York's capital region. So we had an article written about us. It was in the newspaper, and we wanted everyone to know. And we posted it in the app, but we wanted to also push it because maybe you wouldn't see it in the app. So we wanted to make sure that we drew attention to what, we got recognized as one of the top tech startups in our area, and we wanted everyone to know that. So we pushed that out. And you can send a push to a particular group, or you can just send it to everyone. So maybe you have a group of people, maybe all your resellers are at a conference, and you want to connect with them on just a very, group specific level. So you want to send them push notifications while at the event, and you want to say like, hey, don't forget about breakfast at 10 a.m. in the great room, or whatever it might be. So you could reach them and not interrupt anyone else. So maybe your distributors were not there and you don't want to, confuse them or send them too much stuff and, make them mad that they're missing out. So you can just completely remove them from the equation altogether. And then when you're done, you click broadcast, and then there it goes. So just be careful with this because it is instant. So there's no way to pull it back. Once you click broadcast, it's gone. So when you are typing out these messages, just make sure you're using spell check and really reading it over and have all your details right. The next panel is events. So we're going to go over how you add a new event in your calendar in the app. Like I said before, every new action is a green with a plus sign. Here you'll see all of the events that we have loaded. Many of them are our training sessions. And they live within our ChannelCandy app in our events tab, which is just a calendar view. To add a new event, I'm going to click on this tab. And just like a post, you're going to give it a title, a description, a start time and end time. You can link out. So if you want to link to a registration page or, something along those lines, maybe I'm talking about a conference and I'm linking you out to the conference page that has, all the speakers and the floor plan and hotel information, whatever it might be. You can also put your event location. I mean, it could be as specific as an actual address, or it could just be the red room or suite 205 or conference room, webinar, whatever your location might work out to be. And here's that show on main wall button again. So if you've selected this, what it's going to do is create a shortcut that posts on your news wall, which is really helpful. Because every time you add something kind of behind the scenes, unless somebody is constantly checking, your event calendar or your resource center, or wherever else you might be updating this content, they're going to miss things. So it's really great to check show on main wall, because you're basically going to be just reminding them that it's been done in that particular area of the app. So it's a direct link and shortcut to what you just did. So when I create this event, which will say it's a webinar, and I say, training webinar, description is we will go over all beginner level content management system requirements. It starts at 3 o'clock, it ends at 4. My link is going to be to my GoToWebinar registration page. Event location is GoToWebinar. I'm going to show on main wall because I want everyone to know that this is coming up. And I'm going to select my partners again because this is going to everyone. Everyone's invited if they're interested. And I'm going to check off event as my filter because that's what I think applies. And I'm going to click save. And the moment I save it, it's going to post on my wall as well as on my calendar so that it's in both of those areas. Scheduled post is the next panel. What a scheduled post is, we already kind of went over. I scheduled this sample one I made earlier. And this is where it lives, because what happens when you schedule a post is that it kind of goes into the future, because I'm saying that this posts tomorrow at 9 a.m. So where does it go in the time being? Well, it sits under scheduled posts. So if you need to make changes or you want to delete this scheduled post, you can do it here. But I just wanted to show you where that is. I think so we're going to cover 2 more things, then I'm going to take some questions. We're going to cover tags, and we're going to cover the resource center. So if you think of any questions so far on what I've gone over, slightly quickly, feel free to type a question into the chat box, and I will get to them in probably 5 to 8 minutes. Okay. So let's go into tag collections, because that's what you need to make before you can add tags. A tag collection is just what the tag family, what the tags belong to. It's kind of like a family. So I'm going to add a tag collection just for demonstration purposes. That's called products. And you can put any color code in here you want. We don't have a color picker, so you can use a hex code, RGB. You could just type red or orange or pink. We pull all different color codes. So I'm just going to type pink because I like it. So we're going to click save. So I now have 2 tag collections. I have tags, which is very generic, and then I have products. Okay. So now that I have my tag collection, I need to create tags that belong to it. These are all the tags that we have in our app right now, and they're really easy to create on the fly. So if you have a new product, or there's an event coming up, or anything that you kind of want to batch your content around, you can come in here and create that. So I'm going to create a new tag, and it's going to be ChannelCandy, and I'm going to put it underneath my products. So every time I talk about ChannelCandy in a post or a resource or an event, I can tag it now. And I'm going to click save. Okay. So now let's go back to make post. And I'm going to show you how now we have this pink ChannelCandy tag. So the reason why I gave it that pink label is because when I have my users come in and I'm talking about a product, I want them to know it's going to be pink. The tag's going to be pink no matter what. If I'm talking about a product, that's what color it's going to be. And I'm going to kind of teach them that behavior. So when they start coming into the app and searching around for things, if they're really interested in the products and in our catalog and they want to, train on them and know about a particular product, I want them to easily find them. So now they are this Pepto-Bismol pink. So they just can't avoid them. So that's how you create a tag and a tag collection. So my tag collection is orange. It's always going to be orange. And then what lives underneath them is going to be in a tree underneath. You cannot collapse these yet, so you'll just see a longer list the more tags you have. Okay? All right. The last thing I'm going to go over today is the resource documents and resource links. Now, if you have a documents area in your app or a resource center or something that you have, maybe you've converted it into some other use case, but this is basically how you load content if it is a PDF or a link into your app. So this is where I load a PDF. We also accept some other Word documents. So I will show you those, or text documents, I should say. And if you wanted to add a link, you're going to go to resource links. So let's go through this first. This is a list of everything that lives in our resource center. So if you were to go into the ChannelCandy app right now, you would be able to find every single one of these PDFs. If I want to edit that PDF, I click on the blue pencil just like everywhere else. And if I want to delete it, I click on the red X. To add a new document, I'm going to click on Add Document. I'm going to give it a title. Just like everything else, we always ask for a title, a description, and then we have this new field called Category. And what that is basically a folder name. So as you're loading in these resources, you can give them some kind of navigation and just easy usability by kind of placing them in these folders. So for example, I'm going to call this my ChannelCandy launch package. My description is just going to be text. And my category is going to be marketing. Okay, because the launch package is kind of marketing material, so I'm going to put it under marketing. So now when I save this, it's going to create a folder called marketing where I can keep adding documents if I wanted. So I could maybe have the launch package. I could have some information about ChannelCandy, maybe some information about the resource center. So I would load those all under marketing. You're going to choose your document. It currently needs to be living on your desktop. These are the different file types that we support. We support PDF, Excel, Word, some different image files, so JPEG, GIF. We take zip files now, so you could zip up a bunch of content and drop it in here. So maybe my launch package has actually 6 files in it. RAR or PNG. Those are the only files that are supported in this area. You cannot load PowerPoint in this area. We have a lot of different customers who've tried it. It does not work. If you ever have an issue where you attach a document and it's not working, you might want to go back and double check and make sure that you fit in these file formats. Anything like everything else, you can show it on your main wall. And you're going to select your group and your tag. Okay, so for example, this is revolving around ChannelCandy, so now I can use my new product tag. Okay, so that pretty much covers everything. We have resource links as well. If I click on this, you're going to see that it's pretty much exactly the same as adding a document. The only change is that you're going to add a URL here. Okay, so same exact steps. So this covers the basics of the content management system. Of course, there are a whole lot of other features that will be discussed in advance. So if you'd like to sign up for that one, you can as well. So things that we cover in advanced training are pitch collections. We cover the gamification campaigns, creating quizzes, syndicating items. So if you want to share a post with Facebook or LinkedIn or Twitter, you would learn more about that there. So those are the different things that we will continue training and supporting you on. So at this time, I will answer some questions if you have them. Feel free to type them in the chat box below, or you can raise your hand, and I'll give you a moment to put those in there. Okay, first question I have is there an easy way to delete expired posts? Okay, good question. So there's two different ways that you can delete an expired post. The first way is by going under posts and knowing which post has expired. So maybe you have something very specific about, promo material or, something along those lines. I'm going to pretend that my expired post is my sample post because I need to delete that anyway. So I'm going to simply click on the X, and it's going to ask me if I'm sure that I want to delete this because I cannot make it come back if I do. And I'm going to say yes, delete. Okay, so sometimes it takes a little second to generate, but if you notice, it's not on my screen anymore. So it's also not on my news wall. Another really great way to delete an expired post, and a little tip and trick I will show you, is if you go to your main wall, and if you scroll through here, I'm trying to find something that I could possibly delete. I don't know if I can. So here are some, here's something a little sneaky. So if I go back up to the top here, if you hover over the top right-hand corner, there's a little X there, okay? And that's going to delete this wall item. And that it does the exact same thing as going into the post. The nice thing about this is if you have an expired post, it's going to say it in red on this particular post. I don't have any expired ones to show you for a sample. But it's easier because you can visualize that it actually says expired, and you can click on that X. Okay, it's a good question. Thanks for asking. Okay, we have another question here. What happens if an event has passed? Okay, so let's see here. In the events area, you will see a list of all the events that you currently have scheduled. If that has passed, it's going to fall off of this list. You don't have to do a thing. You won't see it on the events calendar. You won't see it in here. It's just going to disappear. It can be a little confusing if you've loaded in a lot of events here and they've all passed and you go in and you don't see anything. But we take care of that cleanup for you, so you do not have to worry about cleaning up those events. Okay. Looks like, we have a couple other questions here, but I'm really sorry we're actually out of time. Feel free to email me if you have any other questions, and I'm actually going to put my email in here. That way you can email me if need be. And I thank you again for joining our basic training of the content management system, and I will talk to you soon. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.